Hey everybody, welcome back to the couch, episode 47, week 47 of the Hey Everybody podcast. Shooting this on a Monday, it is Memorial Day, so my wife is home and my son doesn't have school today. They're playing in the backyard, and I'm feeling good. The days I get to actually wake up next to her are good days, and they start really well. So, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling contented, which is nice in a world of people that almost seems like they don't want to feel good. A really good example from last week of like, is that how you want to feel? Is that who you want to be? Is Tony Hawk, legendary skateboarder, possibly, definitely the most famous skateboarder of all time. So famous that he mattered to me in my youth, and he matters to my son now. We still both get excited, and we're like, oh, it's Tony Hawk, you know? And we play this video game together and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, I have not seen it. He started doing Subway ads, which I'm like, oh, right on, you know? Who cares? You know who cares? A lot of people. A lot of people are cranky about it. Ollie and I were at the store the other day, and they had little cactuses, and we bought one for Tori. And I put it in the cup holder of my car so it wouldn't slide around. And I said, there's a cactus in my cup holder. And then I thought, I'm going to use that next time I'm cranky about something silly. So a lot of people have a real cactus in their cup holder about Tony Hawk shooting Subway ads. And I don't know why. I mean, Tony Hawk's cool. Subway's cool, you know? When you want to eat something quick that's not all greasy and weird. I can't tell you how many, you know, on my way to a show, parking lot sub sandwiches I have consumed. It's great. It's awesome. And so who cares? But people are all cranky about it. And it struck me. I told Oliver, I said, hey, I didn't tell him how people felt about it. I just said, hey, Tony Hawk is doing Subway commercials. And Ollie goes, ah, cool, I love Subway. It just made me laugh that, like, it would seem to me that we all start that way, the way Oliver started. And we maintain it to some unknown point, because Oliver still has it at 12. And then at some point, this switch flips where you go, Tony Hawk's doing Subway. And it's like, who cares? Like, even if you don't like it, do you like it? Like, do you dislike it so much that you have to have a feeling about it? Like, I've been thinking about that a lot, in part because, you know, as a parent, sometimes you're forced to think about things because your child needs to learn them or needs to work on them or needs to know them. And oftentimes, though I am hesitant to admit it, me and my 12-year-old need to be working on the same stuff. Much of his, I don't know what you'd call it, his tendencies seem more in line with me than with Tori, which is unfortunate because my wife is, she was just born Zen, you know. She was born stoic. I mean, she's a very caring, feeling person, but when something's out of her control, she has this uncanny ability to just let it go. Like if you know, if something happens and I go, well, like, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if this person says this? She goes, and she's fine. And I was really hoping that Ollie would get that, and maybe he still will develop it, but he tends to be much more in his thoughts and in his feelings and in his head, and he got that from old Sea Biscuits right here. So the stuff I'm working on, I'm very often able to sort of repackage it and hand it immediately to him. And my dad and I were talking about how kind of cool that is, that there's some stuff that my dad learned in his 60s that I learned in my mid-30s that hopefully Oliver is learning at like 12. So that maybe Oliver's kid or his grandkid will come out of the womb not crying because he doesn't have to have a feeling about this. But I was thinking about and talking to Oliver about he was in a situation where he was upset about something very small. And I looked at him and I said, do you want to be upset? And he goes, yeah, I'm upset. And I said, no, do you want to be upset? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, riff me a list of stuff you like to do. Like just silly, you like to read comic books. You like to play the bass. You like to ride your scooter. You like to play video games. You like to draw. All this stuff. And all that stuff makes you feel good. Do you want to feel bad right now? And he goes, no. And I said, well, you know, we talk a lot about not being selfish, but sometimes being selfish can benefit you and the people around you. Like, if you selfishly think, I don't like being upset, I'd rather be happy. And here's a list of things I can do that will make me happy right now. That really benefits the people around you too. But mostly it's really good for you. And I've been doing that a lot lately too. I've been identifying, like, I could do this thing, which makes me feel whatever, anxious, crabby, frustrated, depressed. Or I could go read this book, or I could go play the guitar, or I could practice the mandolin, or I could listen to a record, or I could make a cup of coffee. And really trying to think about, how will I feel if I do this? How will I feel if I do that? And really be intentional about, how do I want to feel? And when this Subway thing happened and I was reading articles and posts by people calling Tony Hawk a sellout, I went, you care enough about Tony Hawk to comment on this, which means at some point, likely in your youth, he meant a lot to you. And now he's doing Subway commercials so he can, like, put his kids through college or whatever. Do you want to be upset about that? Do you want to trade in the way you used to feel about this guy for this feeling, this judgmental, bitter, cranky feeling? Like, forget what he did or what happened. How do you want to feel about it? Because there's always the third option of, you could feel nothing. You could not invest your emotional well-being and your time into Tony Hawk's business decisions. You know what I mean? You could just let that go right by. It's really, really unimportant, especially to you. But it was funny for me to see, like, this is how these people reacted. This is how Oliver reacted. And I had that moment of, like, which one do I prefer? Which one would feel better? And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in how we feel that we don't stop and think about, how do I want to feel? Because I think if I did, it would force me into this place of honesty that I might not be totally comfortable in, that I might have more control over this than I want to admit. I hesitate to say it's fun, but sometimes it feels good to just take your hands off the wheel and go, I'm angry. And now we're off to the races. You know, you're not in control anymore. The anger's in control, and that's okay, because that's how I feel, and I gotta feel my feelings and all this kind of stuff that sometimes I agree with. But if you stop and go, like, okay, but because I'm angry, the people around me are feeling uncomfortable, even if I'm not angry at them, and because I'm angry, I'm not being very productive or effective, and because I'm angry, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing these other things I love to do. And then you stop and ask yourself, can I stop being angry? Do I have enough control in this situation? And sometimes you won't, you know. I'm not preaching that every minute of every day you will be in control, but, like, shouldn't that kind of be the idea, like the goal, like the impossible to reach goal? I think that's another thing. We have a tendency to only set goals that we know we can reach, because otherwise we feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure. But sometimes you're setting yourself up for growth, like endless growth. If you're always striving for something that you know you won't reach, you'll just keep getting better. If you can be of the right mindset. There's a way to go about that just leads to constant disappointment, and I've done that. Sometimes if the goal is to always write a better song, sometimes they're not better, you know? I'm old enough now that I've written songs, even good songs, that I don't think were better than this song I wrote 2 years ago. Does that mean it shouldn't be a song, or that I shouldn't play it, or that it shouldn't exist? You know, all this kind of stuff. But there is a way to set yourself up for failure with these impossible goals. But there's also a way to just set yourself up for growth, to acknowledge when you set the goal, I'm never really going to accomplish this. But in efforting to accomplish it, I will just get better and better and better and better and better. Funnily enough, you see that a lot in skateboarding. There was a thing that went around, I think a year ago, that Tony Hawk, and he must be 50, he finally landed a trick that he's been trying his whole life. And to most people on the planet, he's the best skateboarder in the world. And to himself, he's a skateboarder who's been trying to land this trick, or trying to learn this other new trick, or what have you, you know? So, if I could encourage you guys, it would be to try to be in control of your feelings, and ask yourself honestly, do I like to feel the way that I feel right now? Do I enjoy it? Because you're only here the one time. I was telling Oliver, I said, you're giving this person your time. They're not thinking about you right now, and you're really upset about this little thing that happened. So you've given them your time. Now imagine that you were, the metaphor I said was, imagine you had $5, and you knew at some point you're going to be at the comic book store or the record store or whatever. And then a stranger came up to you and said, hey, can I have $1? Because I want to rip it up and then throw it into the river. You would go, no, man, I only have $5, and you're just going to waste this dollar, and I want to use these dollars for cool stuff, for fun stuff. And he goes, yeah, I would never give that guy $1. And I said, well, think about your minutes, your days. You know, you only get a certain amount, and that's one of the hazards of being Chris Gould's kid, is that we're going to be talking about death a lot and that kind of thing. But he gets it. You know, I say, like, even if you live to be 110, that's not enough time to do all the cool stuff you could do, all the fun stuff you could do. You certainly shouldn't be giving even a minute of your time to frustration and angst and stuff about things that don't matter, you know? Wouldn't it be more fun to go to the comic book store right now? And that's the other thing. Me and Tori, we're those kind of parents. Like, I'm the kind of parent that, like, if we see like a commercial for a thing and he goes, oh, that looks really good, like they got a new candy bar or something, he goes, oh, that looks really good, I go, that does look really good, let's go. And we get in the car and we go buy one. Because life is short, you know, and there's so much joy to be had. And I spent so long not realizing that, like, there are things you have to do and things you should do, but really this should be fun and this should feel good. Like, let's enjoy it. That's what we were talking about last week with the kid. And that's what I have talked about with you now. In the meantime, I hope things have been going good for you guys. Memorial Day is a weird thing. You know, we talk about mindfulness a lot on this podcast, and even today, like trying to be aware of how you want to feel and thinking about how you're thinking. And Memorial Day is one of those instances where it's clear as day that, like, all of us every day are engaging in things without really thinking about them. A good example is I got an email today from an artist that said, hey, we're having a Memorial Day sale, 20% off t-shirts. And this artist is a veteran. And I thought, you just, or likely your management just, said, it's Memorial Day, everyone's having a Memorial Day sale, we'll have a sale too, 20% off t-shirts. Because this email definitely did not originate in, some of the people I served with did not come home. And historically, people that serve haven't come home. And today is a day to remember that and to celebrate their memory and their legacy, and how that became, all lawn furniture is 12% off, you know? It shouldn't have done that. And regardless of how you feel about the military or the holiday itself, the holiday is about something. And that something is about as far from, like, blind commercialism as you can get. And yet here I am reading an email written in the name of someone who is a veteran, and having a 20% off t-shirt sale for Memorial Day. And my wife and I were having coffee, and that got us to talking about like all the other stuff that you do that you just don't ever think about. Like I was saying, you know, I'm not really like a go out person. Like we don't just go to the bar and hang out, partially because I don't dig it, and partially because a lot of my job takes place in those kind of settings. So when I have a night off, I'd rather be doing something else. But some people, they go out 2, 3, 4 nights a week, you know? And I was wondering how many of those people, it's just, well, it's Friday, we're going to the bar. Instead of like, they're just sitting around with their buddy and they go, man, you know what'd be fun? We should go out and get a beer. That'd be super fun. You know what I mean? Like, another thing is, you know, we used to just go out to eat, like whenever. We'd be hungry, we'd go get some food. Fine. But now we have a more structured, on Thursdays, we get Culver's, and we come home and we all eat it together. And that's the only night of the week that we eat out for the most part. And because of that, we enjoy it so much. We look forward to it the day before, like, oh, we're going to Culver's tomorrow. I get a Dr. Pepper, and it's the only soda I drink all week, and I'm so excited about it. Versus 10 years ago when you would just have 2 or 3 sodas a day, and you were barely even tasting them because they had destroyed your tongue. And I realized, like, when you're intentional about stuff, it improves the stuff. You know, your food tastes better, and you can look forward to things because it's not just this routine you fall into. So that's another thing I've been working on. Like, how can I really be aware of what I'm doing and not let anything become a habit, and be mentally present in everything I do so I can be really sure how I feel about it. I think there's a lot of times that we do things. If this musician sat down and really thought about his sale, it might feel kind of crass. If he really thought about it, he might go, I don't think I want to do this. And that's true of, you know, maybe if we really thought about it, we might go, maybe I've been drinking a little too much. You know, I just got so used. During quarantine, I got really used to, like, every night Ollie would go to bed and I'd have a couple beers. And I realized, like, for months I've been having 2 or 3 beers a day. And it wasn't a problem. I just wasn't thinking about it. And I realized I would like to think about it more. And when I do think about it, I go, I don't know, for me, that feels like a little much. And now I've dialed it way back. And guess what? The couple beers I have on the weekend or whatever, they taste better and it's more fun, you know? So yeah, I'm just trying to be more aware. And that goes back to the Tony Hawk thing. Like, when you find yourself just griping about something because that's what Facebook has groomed you to do, take a pause and go like, is this what I want to share with people? I have this moment here where I'm going to write something down and press a button and it's going to go out to the world. Would I rather tell someone about this record I just bought that's really, really good? Or this restaurant that just opened? Or this book I just read? Or a picture of my dog or something? Do I want to complain at people? And I think the beautiful thing about mindfulness is it's always beneficial. You always realize, like, oh, maybe I'd rather do that. And then you always feel better. Or you realize, oh, I do want to do this thing I'm doing, but now I'm doing it with some awareness and I feel better. That kind of thing. So, blah, blah, blah. Let me play you guys a song. I'm going to play it on this new guitar. This guitar has a story, and I will tell you the story someday. For now, I will tell you, it is a 1958 Gibson J50. And it's magic. And it's wonderful. And I can't stop playing it. And it was a gift from a dear friend of mine for no reason. He just gave it to me. He surprised me with it. And it was phenomenal. And I got misty, and I told him I loved him, and he said, I love you too. And that's the way to live, you know, with some gratitude and some love. And men, unfortunately, are not encouraged to do that. You know, like me and my band, you know, we're all like big tattooed dudes, and, you know, we get together at band practice, and when we all show up, we all hug each other, and then we play some music, and then when it's time to go, we all hug each other, and we go home. And I've been thinking about that a lot since I got this guitar, and how good it felt to tell a guy that I love him, and that I appreciate him, and how much this thing meant to me and means to me, and how nice it was to hear those same things back. Like, oh, I love you too, man, and your friendship means so much to me, and all this kind of stuff. And I started to really feel for people that are just from birth without that. They don't have any of that. And that's no way to live. And then, of course, a lot of those guys end up, you know, not being a positive force in the world around them. You know, toxic masculinity, it hurts men first but never last, you know. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. In the meantime, I will play you a song on this wonderful guitar. This is an older song of mine. It's called Crooked Feet. I wrote it about my granddad, who, funnily enough, he served in World War II. He came home, luckily, but he didn't come home unchanged. And I think that's important to acknowledge. I think sometimes we have a tendency to too neatly package veterans in these two camps of came home or didn't come home. And I don't think any of them come home the way they left, you know? And I wasn't thinking about that when I decided to play this song today. But yeah, this is about my granddad. And one of the main things I know about him, I never really got to meet him, was that he was in World War II. And I've seen some amazing pictures. And he's someone who looms in my mind very large. I think about him a lot. And I wonder if he had gotten to live a wonderful long life, what our relationship would have been like, and that kind of thing. And this song is maybe less about him and more about me thinking about him and sort of comparing myself unfavorably to him, because that would be the only way to do it. So this is called Crooked Feet, and it's also a little bit about being pigeon-toed, and it goes like this. Could have built 1,000 ships, could have swam 10,000 seas, I could have walked the land till my feet bled and the songs all fell out of my head, and these strings were all I had left. But I ain't never been a brave man, I never fought in a war. All this hopeless wandering to wrestle rest out of these bones. I just pray these crooked feet take me home. I could have set 10,000 suns, I could have swept up every beach, I could have smiled and waved at the flames as they swept over the bed I'd made, till these dreams were all I had left. But I ain't brave like my granddad, I never fought in a war. All this hopeless wandering to wrestle rest out of these bones. I just pray these crooked feet take me home. I just pray these crooked feet take me home. I had to wrestle some of those lyrics out of my head for a second there. I'm not supposed to say anything because maybe you didn't notice. But like I said, it's an old song. But yeah, it felt good. Thanks for letting me sing it to you. Let me tell you about some music and then get you out of here so you can go enjoy your day with your family, much in the same fashion that I will. Up first, this is Gregory Alan Isakov, and this record is called The Weatherman. Gregory Alan Isakov originally is from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, but he calls Colorado home and has for a long time. And he's a musician / farmer, and I love it. And he writes folk songs, and then he dresses them up with every single thing available to him. You get banjos and pedal steels and cellos and all kinds of ethereal just sounds. And it's wonderful. These songs are simple and huge and small, and it's really hard to explain. Listen to Suitcase Full of Sparks, and you'll understand what I mean. He's great. I like him a lot. And I've made a couple records where me and the people making the record we're talking about him a lot. About like, oh, what he did when we did this, sort of like Isakov, or is that too Isakov-y, or whatever. So check him out. I think you'll dig it. And then, this band is called Fountains of Wayne, and this record is called Welcome Interstate Managers. This just got reissued, and I picked it up over the weekend. I love this record, and have loved this record. You may know the song Stacy's Mom, which was very popular. It was a hit single that I don't think is wholly representative of the record itself. I don't think that the whole record is as lighthearted or jovial or jokey. And it's certainly not all in that style. There's country songs on here and folk songs and all that kind of thing. But even Stacy's Mom, it's like a power pop song. And I thought it was really funny. I think a lot of people that only ever heard the song, when it was on the radio, it sort of got misinterpreted. And people thought it was about like a young man hooking up with his friend's mom. But if you watch the music video, the person in the video is like 12. It's like this 12-year-old kid who's got a crush on his friend's mom. And it makes the song a lot funnier. Like when the character says, since your dad walked out, your mom could use a guy like me. When you imagine that the person saying that is a 12-year-old boy, like it's just funny. And I personally would have you listen to Valley Winter Song, or Little Red Light if you want to rock. But Valley Winter Song is my favorite song on the record, and it stretches out their kind of folky, acoustic vibe, and very much worth your time. And unfortunately, we lost Adam from Fountains of Wayne to COVID last year, so it'd be a fine tribute to spend some time with what I think is a really great power pop record. They got written off by a lot of people as like a pop band, but they're a pop band in the spirit of a band like the Cars. So very, I think, infinitely listenable, but also respectable, and they're not afraid to get weird and challenging, and they're all better musicians than me. So I think that's it. I don't have a Memorial Day sale to tell you about, and I suppose I've marketed for Subway enough today. I just hope you guys are good. Hope you get out and enjoy that weather, and I'm going to go do the same. Maybe I'll bring this beautiful guitar outside and play it in the sun. I hope you guys are good. If you're not good, I hope that turns around for you. And if any of this helped, that's the idea. I almost took the day off today, but then I thought, every time I talk about taking a day off and then don't, someone says, oh, I'm so glad you did the podcast today because I needed it. So if you needed it, here it is. I love you guys. I'll talk to you real soon. Hug the people you feel like hugging and tell them you love them, because it feels good. And that's what life is supposed to be about. Feeling good, having fun, loving people, being good to the world around you. I will talk to you next week. Bye.